Since 1941, Maria Rica has devoted her life to unlocking the mysteries carved in the desert floor.
I started walking just to see what was there. I walked on a line, and suddenly I found myself at the center of lines and followed a little further and found winding pathways which proved to be the figure of the spider. And from then on, I was immersed in all this vastness, and I just looked for small winding pathways to see if there could be a figure.
Rica spent years carefully measuring the lines and plotting their relationship to the movements of the sun, moon, and stars. She concluded the geometric lines are a giant astronomical calendar, telling the ancient Nazca when to plant, irrigate, and harvest their crops. While her science may be sound, some feel she overlooked an important point.
Somehow she neglected the anthropological part. She didn't account for who made these lines. The evidence implies that since a lot of people worked at building these hundreds of lines, they must have had a ceremonial significance. They were some kind of ritual road that led people to certain important centers. It is likely that these lines were placed where dances and rituals were practiced.
This is the annual pilgrimage to the Andean shrine of Coya Riti. Every year, the faithful from villages across the region follow ancient pathways to honor the gods who dwell in the mountains above. At the ceremony's climax, the Indians form giant human lines in view of the surrounding peaks and in praise of their gods. One of the festival's more curious rituals is a ceremonial piece of ice carried from a high glacier down to the lines of believers below, symbolizing the waters that bring life to dry desert towns like Nazca. The mysterious relationship between the lines and the water has fascinated many. Eduardo Herran, a photographer, believes the lines were drawn to guide birds whose arrival signals the coming of the rains.
The Nazca needed water, and it's possible that they designed the lines for the condors to see. When the condors fly over the lines, they are announcing that the rain from the Andes is on its way, that water is coming, and that's very important for the Nazcans. During the last years, we have identified nearly 300 new drawings. It's most important to be aware that Nazca is a unique monument, that it doesn't exist in any other part of the world.
Today it's easy to marvel at the lines from the air. Could the ancient Nazcans have flown as well? In 1975, adventurer Jim Woodman and balloonist Julian Knott attempted to prove they could by building a hot air balloon using materials the ancients would have had in ready supply. They used reeds for the basket and cotton cloth for the envelope. They funneled heat from a fire pit and lifted off, flying over the desert for 2 glorious minutes. The lines have outlasted the people who made them by thousands of years, surviving earthquake, drought, and downpour, epitomizing the endurance of Andean cultures in the face of nature's overwhelming powers. But another force was gathering strength on the horizon, one that neither the Nazca nor the Inca could ever have foreseen. A force that would appear as alien to Atahualpa as a man from outer space. In 1532, Francisco Pizarro and his small band of conquistadors invaded Peru in search of shimmering cities of gold. Though vastly outnumbered, they had two weapons that would prove formidable in battle. Their firearms, though not very accurate and slow to reload, devastated an Indian army accustomed to closer combat. The Spanish had horses, which had never been seen before. One 16th century chronicler wrote,
"The Indians were so terrified by the furious onrush of horses that they dared not appear in an open field, for 10 horses could disperse 1,000 Indians.
To the Inca, the Spanish must have seemed like creatures from another planet. With their suits of armor and strange four-legged beasts, they inspired a mixture of fear and disbelief. On November 16th, 1532, Pizarro and his men would come face to face with Atahualpa. The event was recreated in the feature film The Royal Hunt of the Sun. The Spaniards were only 168 strong. More than 80,000 Inca warriors camped nearby. But Atahualpa and his entourage of thousands came unarmed. He had no idea the Spanish might fight. His plan was to capture their horses for breeding. On a signal, Pizarro's troops attacked.